In today's video, I am going to be breaking down different elevator screen basketball plays for baseline inbounds. Basically, what you're trying to do here is have a player go through two players at once between them, and then they close so that his man gets stuck on essentially a double screen. The Golden State Warriors run a lot of these style plays that get Steph Curry a lot of open threes. So let's get down and let's check these out. Really quickly, if you like the idea of me drawing on this app behind me, go check out the Playbook app that is down in the description below. And if you want a killer defense, make sure to go check out my Unbeatable Basketball Zone Defense book that is down in the description below. But also make sure to go check out my Deadly Defensive Strategies that's also down there as well. So in this first play, let's say player 1, his name is Tyler, and player 2, his name is David. If we call S David, or if we call Elevator David, or whatever you want to call this play, David is going to be the one who goes between the elevator screen, and Tyler will be the one who cuts to the rim. This is a very basic play that should get multiple players open. Now, if this doesn't work, if neither of these players are open, then what we will have is player 4, he will dive to the baseline, and player 5 will pop out. These are going to be your safeties. Meanwhile, player 1 and player 2 will be your number 1 options. However, because we're running this on the elbow, what we can do is have player 2, he can go in between this sandwich screen or this elevator screen, and if his man is cheating over top, his defender is going over top of this screen, while he's going through, he needs to be able to read that, in which case he can cut down quick, and this will be an easy open layup. This is a nice fast play that you can run. Now this next play can be ran at the free throw line, but it has better success at being ran along the baseline. And this is a variation of a play that I've ran before. However, now it's actually going to help really confuse the other team. So what we're going to start with is player 2 setting the screen for player 1. And then player 1 is going to then use player 4 and 5 as a elevator screen. After this screen here, especially if the other team switches, which means that player 1's man would be on this side of player 2 and player 2's man would be chasing player 1 through this elevator screen. If this was to happen here, I would want player 2 to roll off because he's got inside position on player 1. And anytime you have inside position, this should be an easy quick pass for an easy open layup. However, while this may be a good backup option, I personally would want that ball to go to player 1 if he's open so that we can get that 3-point shot. Now, I ran this play last year as a timeout play. I called a timeout. I noticed that the other team was running a very tight man-to-man. And I wanted to really dig in the fact that they were making a massive mistake. So what I did was I had 2 big players. One of my big players I had inbounding the ball. The other big player was out on the perimeter. I had my 3 smaller, shorter players who had smaller, shorter defenders set up in a line right here. And I would call this, while it is technically an elevator play, I would call this more of a reverse elevator because usually with an elevator, you're going out towards the perimeter. However, here, we're doing the reverse. We're cutting to the basket. Player 5 has 2 options. He can go between players 2 and 1 or 2 and 3. And when he goes between these players, they're going to close. His man is hopefully going to get stuck here, and he is then going to cut to the rim. He is now our number 1 option. Now, at the same time, player 3, because he was not used as a screen, he is going to be using 2 and 1 as a screen at the exact same time as player 5 gets through those screeners, so that now player 3 can rub off. While they're not actively screening for player 3, he can use all of this kerfuffle that's happening right here to his advantage and cut out to the wing. He would now be our secondary option. If none of which is open, these guys can pop out. They can try to find an open area of the court and try to get themselves open so that we can get that ball inbound. So now what we are going to do is have player 1 and 2 set up on this side of the key and player 4 and 5 to be pretty well close to each other over here. On this play, player 2 and 1 are going to come together, and we're not going to be calling this out beforehand. We want this to be totally random. What we want is these two to connect arms and to go in a circle. As soon as they make the disconnection, so let's say player 1 disconnects, he is going to be the one that goes through this elevator screen. Player 2 is going to fake out and then fake back in. Now player 3 has multiple options. He has player 1, which would be technically our number 1 option. He then has player 2 as his secondary option. If neither of those are open, we can have player 5 sprint out to the perimeter and player 4 cut towards player 3 in hopes that we can get somebody open. But the idea here is essentially to try and create confusion with these two locking arms and spinning in a circle until one randomly pops out, and going through the elevator screen, he should be wide open. You may want player 5 to slip the screen as well if the defense decides to switch. There's a lot of different options that you can have here. It all comes down to the defense, in my opinion. I hope that these elevator baseline inbounds plays help your team win more games. They're kind of fun, and they can get yourself a lot of 3-point shots. Make sure to go check out my defense books that are down in the description below, especially my unbeatable basketball zone defense, but also my deadly defensive strategies, because both of those books, especially if you combine them, are going to be insanely deadly for any team that you play against. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.